Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carlo. I'm Dr. Carlo. I have Mary Beth with me here today, and we are so glad that you were able to join us. Today we're hoping to talk about some mental health related issues and hopefully do a little bit of erasing of that stigma that surrounds them. So we're going to talk about control today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I used to be the president of the local chapter Control Freaks. I've been working hard not to be the leader, but I think I still am a card carrying member at times. But so tell me a little bit about how control is entered into your life.
With the busyness of life,
Yeah.
where essentially sometimes things are out of your control. You start to look for ways where you can implement control. So my control is within the home, I will come home after a long day of being busy, and I won't like the way that somebody cleaned. And so I will re-clean it.
Right.
But I'll be very vocal about it. Whereas people think that they're helping me out. Realistically, I don't even know if I want them to help me out, because I need to be in control of where each thing is. I need to know where everything is. And sometimes that's done by barking orders at people. And sometimes that comes in the form of anger and, telling everybody how they didn't do anything correctly.
So do you ever find yourself becoming resentful that, say, they didn't clean the dishes, but then when they do clean the dishes, you're resentful because what a lousy job they did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. So, while you say, maybe I just don't want them to do it, that too is not really the answer either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you put your schooling in practice and put your, therapist hat on, where do you see the happy, medium or the middle mark for this?
For me, I always say I just want to come home and just be able to actually all I got to do is walk in the room and put on the TV and kick back and relax. But realistically, it's more of a me thing, If on days where things work out more in my favor, time-wise, I can come home and relax a little bit more. But actually, if I'm busier during the day, that's when I come home and I start to look for things that might be insignificant, that I don't actually need. But it's a way to make others help me, when realistically I should be asking for help and
More constructively.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, I am sure that everyone can relate to this. The biggest one that I see in families is, do you fold your towels in quarters or in thirds? Or do you roll them? And the reality is they're folded. Are we happy? We could be, right? So what are some, maybe can you share some of the maladaptive or unhealthy ways that you've tried to gain control over situations?
I would say maladaptive. I definitely, things will keep me up at night and I will lose sleep. But rather than actually thinking of a solution or something helpful, I'll do something that just fills time and completely makes me avoid what I actually should be doing. So if I have a 13-page paper due, I might look for one of the little people that goes in the princess castle that my daughter has for hours and hours to, avoid what's actually stressing me out.
Okay. Yeah.
And at the same time, I'll be yelling at people to help me, because I know they can't help me with the paper, but I
Right.
know they can help me find the little person. And then once it's found, I always feel kind of stupid. Like I always feel, I'm like, why did I want that? Like my daughter doesn't even want it. Why do I want it?
Yeah, why is this such a big factor right now? Right,
Mhm.
exactly. And so, what things have you been trying to do to kind of step back from that way of reacting or controlling things?
Um, Lately I've been just, if it's something like doing a paper or something that I said like, okay, I need to clean out like this section of the house because like we're getting it painted. I will actually like physically put the computer in front of me or go into the kitchen and I won't, I think I'll put it on a list. Like I like to make lists. So I'll be like, at the end of the day, if it's still bugging me that,
We can't find the princess.
yes,
Okay, yeah.
then I'll look for it. But 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I did everything I needed to do today. That piece will turn up, you know. And then sometimes things never turn up, like my missing set of keys that my 4-year-old told me went in the garbage. So it's a lost cause,
Right,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah. So when you're thinking about this idea of control, right? Like nobody likes to feel out of control. Nobody wants to feel like they don't have a say in what happens in their own life. What are some? So I like the idea that okay, I'm going to do this task, and if this thing pops in my head, I'll write it down. What other types of strategies or techniques do you feel like can be helpful with any of our audience members who are dealing with being a control freak?
Um, I think a lot of our first initial thought process is to like react exactly how you're feeling. And sometimes it's okay to like take a step back and think about why you're reacting that way. Is it a you thing or is it more something that you just feel like you have to have control over? For the longest time, when my fiance would say, I'm going to lunch with my dad, I would get very upset because I was like, you didn't tell me. And he's like, well, I'm telling you now. And I thought, that's more of a me thing. Like, that's more of because I told my mom that we were going over there and I didn't bother to tell him either.
Ah, okay.
So it's just, in the long run, it's like, what is your control serving you? Like, is it serving you?
And most of the time, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of the time we get a little control freakish because we're afraid or um, we're insecure or maybe everything else in our life is out of our control. And so we might pick that one area that seems perhaps ridiculous to other people, but we can know that at least there's this one thing that we can do to control, and it might seem like it's really, helpful when at the end of the day it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can you think of anything that, um, any red flags that, for those of us who are control freaks or recovering control freaks, are there any red flags that you think that, or maybe we don't even know that we're control freaks, right? Uh, any red flags that you think that people should be aware of that if they notice these particular things that maybe they should take a look at, you know, where they stand in regards to control?
Um, if you are physically trying to control the actions of another person, that's a giant red flag.
Yeah.
Like I said with my fiance, I was like, you can't go there, you can't do this. And the more that I thought about it and dealt with my own insecurities, I realized like him being out of the house actually benefited me.
Right, yeah.
it gave me that hour to work on my paper on, with no disturbances. And at the end of the day, it's like, that that person's coming back. So I would say like that was the biggest one for me.
Yeah, no, I would agree. That definitely would be it. So I hope that everyone was able to take a little something away from this. Hopefully we can start a bigger club of recovering control freaks instead of keeping the actual control freak club well populated. So remember, you can change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So until next time, continue working on being the best you possible. Bye.